Good morning and good afternoon, everybody, depending on who's watching this video. Um, Today we are going to be using the program Soundtrap to record ourselves answering a few question prompts. It's pretty simple, but it's a program that we're going to be using a lot in the near future, and we're going to be recording ourselves at home on our instruments. That's my goal. So that being said, let's jump right into it, and we'll get started. The first thing you're going to do is you can check out my Google Classroom, right? And I believe it says practice recording on Soundtrap. You're going to be going to the software section in music first, and then clicking on Soundtrap. And you're going to want to be able to see these questions, even though they formatted weird, so that you can answer them when you're recording yourself. So you're going to go to music first. You're going to sign in. Today I'm going to sign in, for an example, as Fernando. And you'll see here there's music theory, which some of you are in. I mean, all of you are in, right? And then music production. Since it's Wednesday, you're going to click on music production, and you'll see practice recording on Soundtrap. All right, so we'll go here. I suppose you'll need to sign in yourself. I'm not going to sign in as Fernando. I'm just going to show you a little bit about how the software works. All right, so I'm signing in as myself, and then I'm going to go up here to software, and you'll see all these examples. You have focus on sound, note flight, O generator, practice first, sight reading factory. These two are programs that I will be assigning some assignments for in the future, but today we're going to be working on Soundtrap. So we'll click on Soundtrap, and it should be that you are, if you're logged in on Music First, and it should be that you're able to just get to the studio, which is pretty cool. So click Enter Studio, and you'll see it's pretty straightforward, right? You can either choose music or podcast for this assignment. I don't mind. But I'm going to click on podcast because that's just how I'm feeling right now. Alright, I'm going to add a new track, and I'll be clicking on voice and microphone since I'm recording myself for today. Sure. But you'll notice, there was other options for you there. There was a loop library and things like that. So looking at my screen, I see over here my questions, over here the studio. You can play around with the different sound settings, although keeping in mind we are using most of us are using either our phone or our computer, so these options won't really change too much of the quality of the microphone, but I'm going to add a little bit of reverb because that's just kind of, maybe hopefully it'll sound like a little more like I'm in a room. Alright, so now it's recording. So I'm going to answer these questions myself, right? First question is, what role does music making play in my life? Well, as a music teacher, music making is how I earn a living, and music teaching is how I earn a living. And so for me, music making is very closely tied to supporting my family, and that's something that's really important to me, my family. How does it make you feel to play music alone? Growing up, I played a lot of music like in my garage. I practiced a lot, and I would practice for many, many hours every day. Well, maybe 2 hours every day some days. And I would feel ultimately joy. You know, you have to in order to make it as a professional musician or as a music teacher. is find joy in making basic music, or music by yourself, because that's how you develop your skills, in my opinion, or some of the skills. But to play music with others is a whole other side of the coin, and that to me is really what it's about. You can practice on your own, get better at certain technical skills, but making music with other people is what it's all about. And coming together as people and coming together as musicians is just a magical thing. So that gives me life, is making music with other people. You know, teaching supports my family, and my family gives me life, and making music with other people and kind of weaving them into my musical family gives me life too. I love listening to recorded music, and I generally listen to the same thing over and over until I move on to the next thing. I find myself kind of, and it's always been like this, looping what I'm listening to, and then um, you know, trying to hear all the nuances and new things that I maybe missed the last time. That gives me, that's interesting to me, and that gives me joy. And listening to live music is great. I love listening to professionals, to people who have put their whole lives into the music. Um, that's just a magical thing, and I miss it. I miss going to concerts and hearing music outside, and you can still hear to an extent some music being played, in some venues outside, but it's not the same. You can't get everybody packed in real close listening to somebody who's at the top of their craft right now. I would love to learn how to play salsa music more, and like Latin music. I that's a style of music that I have like a little experience with. Back in college, I played in a couple Latin bands, but I never made it like a core part of my performing. And so that's something I would love to learn how to play. And I guess I'd love to learn how to listen to it. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't understand the lyrics. But in some cases, I don't know if the lyrics, like, well, I guess lyrics always add a dimension to the music, so I guess I'm missing out on something. Yeah. So that is the example of my podcast, right? So I just answered all these questions. It took me about 3 minutes. So I'm going to press stop. It'll process. And then, let's see. We can save it, I guess. It'll take a second to save. Wow. This is interesting. You can use a transcript. And then we'll go to export. Export project to MP3. Okay. So it does take a minute for the podcast um, to mix, I suppose. So let's call it Mr. Santoro's questions. Save that. See what happens if we press share. You can listen back to it. Alright, so now it's recording. So I'm going to answer these questions myself, right? Great. So I've got it to be recorded. After you've exported this as an MP3 file, I believe you can go back to oops, I clicked the wrong one. I believe you can go back to our class here, Music Production Seniors, and you'll be able to upload the task there. You'll be able to upload your MP3 from the Music Production Seniors task when you're done. Okay, it could take a little while to mix. So that being said, if you've finished with these questions by the end of the day or the middle of the class, what I want you to do is you can go back to the editing studio, and there is a patterns beat maker that I want you to take a look at today, which is pretty cool. This will mix, I believe, automatically even if you're not there. So it's mixing. When it's done, you'll be able to download it and then share that file. You can also go to Patterns Beatmaker and play around. I know some students have a lot of success with Patterns Beatmaker. And you can add various instruments here. You've got basically a measure of 4/4 divided. See how that sounds. You can play around with this. This is pretty fun. Okay, so those are your 2 tasks for today. I won't ask you to turn in anything from Patterns Beatmaker yet, but it's really, we're just trying to get acquainted with using Soundtrap to create a file and export that file. Okay, I'll be there in Google Classroom if you have any questions about how to do this. We're just figuring it all out on our own today, and hopefully we'll have some success with it. I would like it to be due by the end of class today. However, I may be open to amending that in the near future, depending on how we do. So if the seniors are done with it and they're ready to move on for Friday, great. If the juniors want some more time, or whatever, whoever wants more time, we can probably give that to them. But just to make you guys aware, that's my timeline for this project. Take a look at my video. Good luck. Okay, and I'll see you all in Google Classroom.